and whoever I have watching right now. So basically what happened in the, Deku stuff, you know, this is Clone Wars Deku, baby. And this is just a video that is, just gonna have both episodes together. Why? Two reasons. Number one, it was a little weird and stuff kind of got goofy for both videos, and the audio quality kind of went weird. But I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I'm gonna be a little lazy about that. I'm not truly gonna fix it. Why? Well, simple. It's really, really goddamn simple. It's a little hard. It is really hard, and I would have to literally reread or re-say everything that I have done, and I mean that's practically impossible. That is literally impossible for me to do. So I decided, you know what? Let's not do that one bit. Let's not. Let's just re-upload it together, so then people could just watch those episodes together instead of watching them separate, because that would just get a little uncomfortable, and I agree, it probably will get a little uncomfortable. So I decided to do it this way. So yeah, enjoy the video of both episodes together. There will be a moment where in the middle of the video where I'll tell you, oh, this is where the second video will start. So trust me on that, and also stick to the end, because I do have a big message for anyone in the end. So if you stick to the end, enjoy that. That's really all I have to say, and enjoy both episodes. Bye. Commander Thorn looks at the child and he says, "Oh, Kirishima, was this the reason why you had to get here so fast?" Kirishima looks at him and says, "Yeah. The boy's sister here called us for some weird reason. I guess to test us, really?" Commander Thorn has his hand on his chin and he goes, "I don't know, sir. But in the end of the day, it's just how it is. Maybe there's more to the story here that you can not see, sir." Kirishima's like, "What do you mean? You want to explain to me, Captain?" Commander Thorn says, "Yeah. Well, I have a sneaky suspicion that something happened with them that evolved heroes. Because think about it, who would leave two children all by themselves?" Kirishima's like, "Yeah, you're right. Who would?" And then Commander Thorn walks to the little boy and says, "Young man, is your sister protective of you because maybe a hero failed in the past or something?" The little boy looks at him and says, yes. The sister comes in, though, and says, "Don't talk to my brother," looking like she's trying to protect him. Commander Thorn looks at her and says, "It's alright. I'm not trying to do anything. I'm just curious about something. That's all I'm trying to do, child. And besides that, the fact being is, I'm just very curious. But besides that, I'll leave you be." Then Commander Thorn goes back to Kirishima and tells him, "My suspicions have been met. I have seen their looks. Sir, I think a hero has failed to save one of their family members in the past." Kirishima looks at him and says, "Huh. Well, that's new information for me, at least. Never thought about it that way. Thanks, Commander Thorn." Commander Thorn looks at him, salutes him, and says, "Don't mention it, sir." And besides that fact being, we time skip a bit, where this time around, we take Bakugo's point of view of this. Clones don't really like Bakugo. You can tell. He doesn't know why they don't like him, but they don't like him. Most of them outright are even rude towards him, which, in the end, he doesn't know why. But besides that fact being that he has to work with them, makes him mad. He doesn't really like them for many reasons. They remind him too much of, Deku, as he calls him. And that's when a clone trooper comes by him and says, "Oh, Are you the kid still thinking that he's gonna be the #1 hero? Please, give up on your dream. That's something impossible. Bakugo turns around and looks at him and says, "What did you say?" The trooper looks at him and says, "You heard me. And besides, we're on the same side. No point of you trying to fight me, is it? Or are you too mentally unstable for that? Like what you did to your friend?" Bakugo stops for a moment, looks at him and says, "Wait, how the hell do you know that?" And the trooper looks at him and says, just a hunch, I guess. After the trooper says that, he walks away. Bakugo is conflicted. That's when we skip a little bit to a different person's point of view. We cut to another point of view of Commander Thorn. He's getting a comm link of Izuku, and he says, "Sir, you have called me for?" Izuku says, "Yes, Commander Thorn. I am going to send you a small detachment of clone commandos and a few ARC troopers. I don't know why, but I have a unfeeling disturbance that something bad is going to happen. So they're going to arrive in 2 days. So for now, just keep up the line with your troops and with your commander. Please tell them I sent this message to you, okay? And not only that, Commander Thorn, I also have a sneaky suspicion that certain things are going to happen. Like they're going to go after something. My question is, have you, particularly met this man's children?" As he puts something on screen, Zuku does. Commander Thorn widens his eyes and he says, "Yes, sir. Those kids, I have met them not too long ago. The other day, they have called us under the guise of testing or something." Izuku smirks and he says, "Oh, so they tested you. How pretty funny." And at this point, I guess. But besides that, you know what? I'm gonna send Kendo. She's been asking me to send her to do certain missions, and I feel like this is a golden opportunity for me to, test her in a way. But hey, make sure you keep an eye out for those kids, alright? Just, I have a weird suspicion that they're going to be important. But, like I'm going to say, protect that man's kids, because in the end, something's gonna happen. Super. Alright? Commander Thorn salutes Izuku and he says, "Sir, yes, sir." Then the comm link disconnects, and this is when we time skip a little bit, because for the fact being, it's just how it is. So we're going to time skip a little bit past 1 day, and Class 1A and the Coruscant Guard have been getting to know these people. And this is when Kirishima and Commander Thorn have their meeting, because it's very important. And what they're basically talking about is, the reinforcements that basically Izuku sent. Commander Thorn basically said, "Sir, Kirishima, our Chancellor, the clones, obviously, has sent us reinforcements, sir. He has sent us some commandos, and he has also sent us some ARC troopers. And not only that, the Miss Supreme Captain of, our Chancellor's army, she is coming here." And Kirishima's like, "What? She's coming here? Why?" Commander Thorn looks at him and says, "Well, sir, so our Supreme Chancellor wanted to, test her in a way more. And he thought it would be a good opportunity to send her here. That is all he has told me." Hiroshima looks at him and says, so why has he sending reinforcements and all that? You can tell me. Commander Thorn says, he is sending reinforcements because, for the fact being, that we have to protect those children. You know, the ones that have sent us that weird fake call? Yes, we have to send our troops to protect them. We had a disturbing talk during this opportunity that their father has been attacked. Luckily for them, he has not been killed, sir. But in the end, my captain, he has informed us that he's been attacked by somebody who has stricken resemblance to a very powerful villain. So, we have to defend those children. Because, for the fact being, he is coming here, sir. And not only that, he has planned a lot more this time. He has people with him. So, our Supreme Chancellor had to send reinforcements, sir. Hiroshima's like, what? Really? That's the reason? I guess. Man, not so mad. And Commander Thorn says, I agree, sir. But in the end, that's our duty, isn't it? As, well, heroes and clone troopers. But don't worry. We're going to get the bottom of this. And we will end up on top, sir. Hiroshima looks at him and says, yeah, I agree with that, Commander Thorn. But maybe we should come up with a plan. Maybe we can get Momo. Or, well, like everyone else from Class 1A, we can come up with a plan. Commander Thorn looks at him and says, well, sir, in the end of the day, it's up to you whatever we choose to do, sir. So if you choose to bring your classmates involved with this, I will not oppose, because you are all heroes, sir. It is up to you at the end of the day. We, of course, on guard, were told to work with you, and with all of you. So at the end of the day, Commander, it is up to you whatever you choose for us to do. If we work with all of them, then we will, sir. But in the end of the day, it's up to you, my commander. Hiroshima's like, good. We're gonna work with class. We're gonna tell Class 1A about this, and we're going to come up with a plan, good plan to win, and to make sure none of the civilians get hurt in the crossfire. Commander Thorn looks at him and says, I agree with that, sir. Who is making up the plan? And Hiroshima looks at him and says, we're going to get Ida and Momo to make up this plan. They're smart ones here. And I believe that they can come up with something better than I could ever come up with. Freaking Commander Thorn looks at him and says, sir, do not bring yourself down that much. You are a good commander. It's just you don't think certain ways. And Hiroshima looks at him and says, thank you, Thorn. Alright, let's go, Commander Thorn. Hiroshima and Commander Thorn go and get the others so they can talk about this. Throughout their whole talk, they're practically talking about how they can make up a plan here to not, well, bring people in danger, and also, for the fact being, they want to protect the child and his sister, because that is the target of these villains. That, well, the Chancellor himself told this batch of clones. Why did he tell the rest of Class 1A, you might be asking? Logically, it makes more sense, because at this point, the clones and the heroes are working like the Jedi and the clones, in a way. But certain degrees is a little different. But besides that fact being is, certain point of this, they've just been talking throughout the whole time, coming up with a plan. And practically, their plan is simple. Protect the children, hide the rest of the island citizens underneath a cave system that is on the island, and use some of the clones to keep the civilians safe while others help with the defense and the counter against these villains that are going to attack. Which some of the clones have to be using certain vehicles. See where I'm going with this. And practically, this whole plan was came up with Ida and Momo. So give them a round of applause. Beautiful, I know. So they start setting up certain things for, well, the attack that's going to happen, practically. So they have it planned how they're going to win. So they start setting it up. The clones have set up a few, like, little light tanks, in a way, and a few light walkers. The reason why I'm not saying the walker's name, completely forgot. Just letting it out. Should be on screen now. But yeah, they set a few of them up around the city just in case, while the Coruscant Guard and a few Class 1A are evacuating the rest of the civilians to the underground shelters. While they're doing that, practically, Commander Thorn looks at practically speaking Ida, and he says, "Sir, what do you think that is going to happen? You are their last president. In the end, sir." Ida looks at him and says, "Well, in the end, I hope we win. Or, like, at least last out until reinforcements can arrive. That's the one thing." Commander Thorn says, "Yeah, but you gotta believe. Because in the end of the day, heroes and clone troopers working together, we can do anything." Ida smiles at him and he says, "You know what? You're right, Commander Thorn. I'm surprised that Japan's government worked with your, well, chancellor to instate you as officials and all that. Like, official helpers, I guess? Or what would you be ranked in a way?" Commander Thorn looks at him and he says, "I don't really know how that type of stuff happens, but I know for a fact being that in the end of the day, without us, you heroes and the police would have been struggling a lot more than, well, things that would usually be out of your guys' control. But hey, in the end of the day, it's just how it is, isn't it? In the end of the day, it's just how it is, right?" Which that's what Commander Thorn says to Ida, and Ida says, "Yeah, I agree. Because in the end of the day, without you clones, technically would have been more overwhelmed. Because before you clones, in the end of the day, heroes were kind of starting to get overwhelmed by a lot more villains showing up out of nowhere." Commander Thorn looks at him and says, "Yes, I agree. Ingenio. But in the end, it's just how it is, isn't it, sir?" And Ida says, "Yeah, I agree." After that little talk, then the hero students and the Coruscant Guard finish having the civilians practically go into the underground bunkers. And this is when, well, the All for One wannabe starts approaching the island, his little thugs. Well, I call them little thugs, but in the end of the day, it's just how it is, right? Because that's what I personally call them. And, oh yeah, sorry if my voice has been fluctuating. But anyway, we're going to get back to what we're actually talking about. So practically, yeah, a lot of people got to the underground bunkers. Wolfram and, or, no, one All for One guy and his thugs show up to the island, and they're kind of confused because there's no people around. They're like, "What's going on here?" Usually there will be people running around, running away in fear. You show up, but all of a sudden there's nobody, and they're like confused by this until a few clone troopers show up out of nowhere and start shooting them. One of their members, a weird clock guy, tries to use his quirk on them, but here's the weird part: it doesn't work on their clothes at all because their clothes, it's not cloth, it's metal. And you would say, wait, but what about the other suit? It doesn't work on that because it's not the same type of fabric type stuff, you know? Because in the end of the day, it's just how it is. So really, what you gonna do, you know? But besides that fact, is certain things happen. The clones start attacking them, so that the weird animal type guy who's been concerned as a monster starts attacking them. He actually does kill a few clones. Not gonna lie, a few die. But more clone troopers start showing up until Todoroki, Ida, and whoever else goes in to stop him, usually in canon. But we cut off to Zuko experiencing a traumatic moment. What do I mean? He wakes up in the mind vision type scape thingy machine. He sees that one clone trooper again, and he says, "You know what, kid? I'm very surprised, but it's the second time I've seen you so far. You might be wondering, well, Midoriya, is it why I brought you here again? Well, simple, really. After a long time of us not chatting, certain things are gonna happen, man. Someone, someone I personally know is gonna come after you, kid. And I'm just letting you know, just in case. You might want to use your clones wisely, and don't waste them. Because every while I will produce a clone that is high quality. But if he dies, that's the only one that will exist. So, again, keep an eye on your clones. Because there's a lot of good ones. And I'm saying, this is not a final jackpot. So, be worried, kid. In the end, it's just how it is, isn't it? How the cookie crumbles. After he says that, Midoriya's like, what? What do you mean? And mysterious clone, or, well, K, says, well, it's simple, kid. They die, they're gone forever. You can't reproduce them again. Because again, they're like a jackpot, you know? Special type of clone. Can't be copied more than once. Because again, even though they all share the same DNA, they're unique and special in their own ways. Just saying, kid. But I do recommend you join that battle where Kirishima is. It's going to be very interesting, alright, kid?
Alright guys, just letting you know this is the second half of the video. Just letting you know, I will let you guys just rest here for a little bit, enjoy the music. The reason why, I just kind of want to add a little type of commercial thing in my videos. Yeah, there's nothing, it's just a moment so you can get up, go get some snacks, whatever, and then you can skip past this little part if you want. It's just here just because. That is all I'm gonna let you guys know. So enjoy your quiet time that is very short. Deku's response. Well, yeah, in the end, K, I'm just trying my best here to really come up with more clone units. Do you have any ideas besides the ones I came up with? K responds with, well, yeah, I do like your idea for Spartan-like clone. They are a very unique idea. So all I'm saying is give them a shot. See if you'll like them or not, you know? Because in the end, before you make all good decisions, it's a good idea to test out your units, right? Or ideas. Make their commander and a small amount of them and have them have a little test run. Since, well, there is a situation that your sweet darling, Kendo, is dealing with. You could send them over there as backup, just in case. And I'm not doubting Kendo's abilities, but it might help. And I know she already has ARC troopers and a few clones of her personal unit, but it would be a good idea if we did that anyway. Trust me on that, kid. Deku thinks about it and he says, very well, we can do that. So should we get their production on the way? K responds with, yes, we shall. In the end, it's up to us, whatever we choose to do, right? But, however, there is more pressing matters ahead that you will have to figure out when you wake up. After K said that, Deku wakes up, looking around his, well, custom type place that he technically had some people build for him. It's in a mountain somewhere. Trust me on that one. But it looks like the clone base on Coruscant, you know? I'm just saying, it's just how it is because I like that one. That one looks really cool. So trust me on that one. But besides that, he walks around the location, seeing cloning tanks and all that. The reason he remembers why he has these cloning tanks is, yes, he can produce clones, but it does drain his energy so much. So it's a good idea to have equipment to do it for him, since, well, because of his benefactor, it practically gave him the knowledge of any, well, Star Wars technology for the clone army. So, but besides that, he just walks around and looks at a screen that is technically connected to the clone Nana Shimura, or, well, at this case, the real one, you know, the, what's the word again? Oh yeah, Vishtis, or basically the soul that's in One for All of Nana Shimura. There we go. I'm leaving this in here, by the way, because why the fuck not? But besides that case, yeah, so basically the Veshtis version of Nana is there, technically. So, yeah, it makes the real Nana Shimura. Who would have thought? Who would have expected that would happen? But anyway, besides that, technically speaking, as they were doing that, he looked at the monitor, and he has put a camera in one of the eyes, by the way, in a way where this Nana Shimura would never notice or even feel it. But he looking through her eyes and all that, seeing that she's doing a mission currently, scouting on the League of Villains for a little bit, as he thought, well, for now, they're not a big of a threat that I thought they would be. Then he radios in and says, Nana, I need you to relocate at the Liberation Front. I need you to check on them more. Stain was going to wipe them out, but I told him not to yet. I want to find out their ideals, everything about them before I decide to either attack or leave them be for a little while. Because we both know what would happen if we wiped out a target too fast, don't we? Nana Shimura says, very well, sir. After that communication, he thinks to himself, how can I make these Spartan clones better? How can I make them surpass what I have been thinking? Then he just thinks a while, thinking of a bunch of upgrades and stuff to do to his Spartan clone, when he gets hit with all of a sudden a voice saying, I feel one of mine nearby. I wonder, what is my, well, army generator doing here in this reality? Deku heard the voice, knowing who it was. It was the person that, well, K and him were talking about. Something that even brings fear to the one who can create life for war. But he ignores it for now, continuing with his task. But then, we cut to Nana Shimura doing her task. She left the League of Villains base area and went off to go find the Liberation Front's, like, base or whatever. Really? This is a very simple operation for her, because honestly, she just has to infiltrate their ranks, you know? Because really, that's all she has to do. Because, you know, like, no one has seen her face before. No one knows that she was a hero beforehand. So, you know, makes life more easier for her. As she's sneaking around in the base, she thinks to herself, kind of weird that I'm practically a new being, but I'm also an old one? What am I in this case? What am I? Who am I? Truly? It doesn't matter. Just finish the mission, I guess, right? Yeah, that sounds completely right, doesn't it? But besides all that, she continues going into the base, just going around at this point, you know, like, just exploring in this case, you know? But while she's doing that, she just comes across looking at a few things and also wondering, how in the heck, when did she get in there? Simple answer, she just, you know, kind of snuck in a bit. Just pretend to be someone who's a part of it. Some people are very dumb, that's all I gotta say. But she's exploring and she finds out a lot that they have a big network around a decent part of Japan. A lot of soldiers ready to raise arms up against Japan's government. But then she gets a communication from Deku saying, talk to their leader, just get his attention, and let him know where I stand through all of this, okay? Nana Shimura says, yes, sir. I'll do that at once. Then the communication cuts, and she starts moving, finding Redestro in his office. The real one, by the way. Just letting you guys know so you know, no twice shenanigans happen in here. And she reveals herself saying, "Read Destro. I know who you are." He turns and says, "Who are you?" "I don't think we had any eyes on someone like you." She responds with, "That's fine. It's just I serve somebody else that has a big army than yours, in a way. But not only that, he wants to talk to you personally, if you're willing to hear him." Redestro says, "What? What do you mean? Explain a little bit." She just throws a hollow communicator onto the desk as a holographic Izuku shows up and says, "Ah, Redestro. Nice to meet you. Well, I guess in this case, hologram to hologram. But before you say anything, let's make this clear. I know where all your locations are. I know where everything is. I've already had a few of my scouts outside of them. And really, all I gotta say is, you sure your plan's gonna work how you want it? Because in the end, yes, people can use their powers freely, but what about the ones who can't do things in a justful way, if that makes any sense? But hey, I ain't you. You want to do that so you can disrupt society, show everyone how miserable you've been, isn't it?" Regestro looks at him and says, "Are you making fun of us? You thinking my goals are a joke? Like the man before me was a joke?" Deku looks at him and says, "Kinda. I can't really talk because the fact being, once I did not have any powers. I was quirkless, and people called me useless. A useless Deku, they called me. But yet, you think people like you with power, should be able to do whatever they want with their powers? Did you ever sit down and think to yourself if that was smart? If that was even a smart move in the beginning? Because in the end, there's a chance a lot of innocent people could get caught in the crossfire. Not only that, it could be very, very, very bad for all of us here. And I'm not just saying me, I'm also saying it for you. In the end, I know you're a businessman, and in the end, I'm letting you do this, but I'll tell you my stance on this. Honestly, I don't care. I don't really give a damn. You could do whatever you wish. I sent my little spy here so I could see how things are a little bit and get to talk to you. And also, don't think of relocating your base. I'll find you in a heartbeat. Trust me on that. And besides, I doubt you would want, well, the innocent ones in your army to be affected, right? Because again, fight for your freedom, right? I've been thinking to myself, how could I be the best hero I could be? Simple and easy. I have to show the world the corruptions that are in this country. Show that, and then help the people. And I mean, honestly, I know I'm sounding like I'm spilling an evil plan to another villain or something along the lines, but in the end, I'm the good guy, and you're the bad guy. I have a lot of plans, dude, and I plan on changing society. So all I'm asking, will you join me? Destro looks at him and says, "You know, you make a fair point. I never thought about things in that way. Yeah, I'll join you, but however, I still want to be leader of my liberation army." Deku says, "That's fine. That's completely fine. I don't mind that. I'm just saying, in the end, you and me need to work together. And if I can write some laws for you, and you do me some favors behind the scenes, we could be an unstoppable duo. And we wouldn't have to do unnecessary violence. Think about it. Less restrictions on certain things for, well, quirks. And in return, you help me have people able to fight for themselves against villains. And I'll keep the laws and ways that will discourage people to be more heroic and able to use their powers for good, and not just waiting on a blindless hero to do it for them. Think about it. Think how many people we could save in that way, too." Destro thinks and he says, "That's fair. Honestly, that is a really tempting deal. But there's one last thing. If we do this, if I work with you, could you make sure something?" Deku looks at him and says, "What is it? What do you want me to make sure of?" Destro says, "All I'm asking you to do is make sure that in the end of this, once everything's exposed and all that, can you show that I help at least a little? I don't mind that, but just I need to let them know that the Liberation Army helped liberate Japan from these corrupt political freaking senators and people of whatever, even the Hero Safety Commission." Deku says, "Yeah, I know. They're very corrupt. Trust me on that. I already have some of my, well, clone guard who are guarding them, actually, ironically, in this minute, technically telling me everything and every dirty secret they spill. And even if the clones are not in the room, technically speaking, a few of them did smart moves, and, did certain things. So either way, you and I will make sure a lot of people will be behind bars, and you will be remembered as a hero. In the end, it's a fair deal. Destro says, fair enough, but how would I contact you? Deku looks at him and says, with this device, the thing that's right in front of us. I'm gonna let you keep this one, as long as you let my assistant, Nana, leave without getting attacked or anything. And after that, I'll contact you to do certain things behind the scenes. Because in the end, I don't want you guys to get hurt. I know you're just doing it for the betterment of, well, humans in general. But in the end, you need someone like me to make sure you guys don't lose track of your humanity and who you are as people. Then Deku looks at him for the final time, and the communication is cut. Destro looks up and says, don't worry, you. And before he could finish the sentence, she was gone, like if she was never actually there. I guess in this case, Deku used that as a power move, in a way. But it's just how it is. In the end, Deku was successful with it. He knows that for a fact, as he's just sitting there thinking to himself, I wonder how long it will take for Nana Shimura to get here. I can't wait for her to meet, well, her new selves in this case. It doesn't really, does it? They're clones. But hey, can't wait till she gets excited knowing that she technically has sisters, at least for now, depending on what happens. And that's where I'm gonna leave it off. So you made it to the end of the video. Good job, guys. Well, just letting you guys know, in the end of the day, this video was created just because to make life easier for people who want to understand the story and other stuff too. But if you enjoyed this whole long ass video thing, let me know in the comments. Maybe I'll do it for every video, or every episode of different what ifs, and just put them all together if they're irritating, annoying, or you just, you would rather get through them without having to watch them separately. In the end of the day, this is just meant to help people understand the story and, just make it so they go smoothly and much better. On top of that, guys, check out the video that's up here in this corner, by the way, and, go see Villain Deku, because he needs a little bit more love. He does. Totally. I know, I say that for the villain version of Deku. But for real, in all honesty, end of the day, you guys can do whatever you want. Like always, I am just asking you guys that, hey, go check out stuff, go look at stuff, go do whatever you want. Whatever you want. Give me feedback on this video. Go join my Discord. All that boring jazz. If you consider that boring, up to you. I genuinely don't know how you guys feel about certain things. So please comment down below what you feel about the video. If you think this was a good idea, dumb idea, whatever. Tell me to blow up or something. I don't know. Just comment something, and I will literally read the comment. Maybe I'll even talk back to you in a, constructive way. And that's really all I have to say. So have a good day, and watch more what ifs if you want.